At one point, the nation had gangsters involved, and you couldn't speak bad about Elijah Muhammad or Farrakhan. Now you have these kittens coming out, speaking against the NOI, speaking against Elijah Muhammad, being very disrespectful towards Minister Farrakhan. Can you speak on that for us, brother?
Well, I can speak on it to the extent that you're absolutely right that in the early days when I was a teenager, we had the utmost respect for the Nation of Islam under the guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that was as a result, in my estimate, living in Harlem, Malcolm X was the minister at Temple No. 7 on 116th Street. And he was a man, and he stood up like a man. When I was about, I think, 9 years young, the Nation of Islam really came to my attention by a brother getting killed, viciously assaulted by the police, and he was a Muslim. And Malcolm and them heard about it after they took the brother to the precinct, that the brother was hurt real bad, and Malcolm got his forces, the Nation of Islam, NOI, FOI, and went to the precinct, the 28th precinct on 123rd Street, 2 blocks from 125th Street, and demanded that they bring the brother out of the precinct, take him out the cell, that is, and take him to Sinai Hospital so he can get medical treatment. And the police, heat and hard and all that BS, but they seen the force behind these black men standing up under the guidance and leadership of Malcolm X. And the community gravitated towards that demonstration and was out there about 4,000 deep and got the police station surrounded. And the police got fearful, don't know what to do, but they did what Malcolm demanded that they do, and that was take that brother to Sinai Hospital. They took him to Sinai Hospital, and things proceeded from there that I guess he got well and beat the charges. But at any rate, the community seen the strength of the black man standing up, and the one who led him, again, was Malcolm X. That's when Malcolm X's name came to my attention, when the word spread of what he did. And that was in '57. I was about 9 years young. So they got that respect off the top of standing up against the police. A lot of them brothers at that time came out the street as Malcolm had. And Malcolm was a street hustler in Harlem. He came from Detroit. They call him Detroit Red. But he was a street hustler in Harlem. And that was the gangsters in Harlem. So Malcolm knew the gangsters, and when Malcolm came out of prison and started teaching, a lot of them brothers gravitated towards his teaching because they knew that if it was something that could change Detroit Red around, with all the dirt he used to do when he was in Harlem and in Boston, and when he was in prison in Massachusetts, they was calling him Satan. So Malcolm, in his dead world, was the epitome of the worst motherfucker on the planet Earth, Satan. But he came home and he was changed, man, with these teachings. And he was still a man, but to a lot of brothers in the streets of Harlem, that interpret a gangster. So a lot of the gangsters in Harlem, a lot of my pop's friends and older brothers and things of that nature, they stepped to become Muslims. And when I got about 12 years old, I went to the mosque just to see Malcolm X, just to shake his hand. They had a practice that if you wanted to be a Muslim, no, if you wanted to shake the minister's hand after his sermon, after his teachings, you can if you accept your ex. So if you stood up when they called you to accept your ex and receive your letter for your ex, which you had to send to Chicago, you could shake the minister's hand. And that's what I used to do every Sunday I went there. To shake the minister's hand, Malcolm X's hand, I would get up, go shake his hand, and then go out the door, and they would give me my letter. And I received a bunch of them letters. I never sent them in because I wasn't going to put on no I'm too young to put on a bow tie and a suit and things of that nature. I'm wearing the latest styles of clothes in the street, and I'm gonna stay
Do you
street.
still have any of the letters today?
No, I don't.
That would've been powerful.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, I tell you the truth. The letters didn't mean nothing to me because I wasn't going to get no ex. I wasn't going to join no regimented form of religion. That was my mindset. I'm a young thug in the street, gangster, if you will, and got the best clothes, the best jewelry, the best everything, and money, and women, or girlfriends, and ain't getting that up. But I love what this brother, Malcolm X, was representing. This was a black man standing up against a white man, and he got the forces with him. He got brothers that step with him, and I had brothers that step with me, and I'm getting this, and I'm going like he going. I got a little information of who I am, and I got a crew with me that got information of who I am, and we stepping.
Yes, man. Do you think the NOI was jealous of Malcolm X, Farrakhan in particular?
Okay, I can't speak about Farrakhan's jealousy, but I do know that in 62, 63, when we used to go to the mosque to listen to Malcolm or see him at the Salon restaurant on 116 and Lenox Avenue, you could hear the rumblings of words coming out of Chicago. And I couldn't tell you exactly who told me this or what situation I heard it, but you could hear that some people in Chicago was jealous of Malcolm's leadership, that he was on TV more than the Messenger, he was in the papers more than the Messenger, and it was the Messenger's program that he was pushing, but he wasn't pushing the Messenger's face in front of the TVs and the cameras and the newspapers and things of that nature. And they were saying, in Chicago that is, and maybe some people in New York, but I didn't hear about the New York guy, I heard about the Chicago people, that Malcolm was trying to take over the Nation of Islam. And as a youth, I didn't see that. Everything that Malcolm always said, he always prepped it with, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. And I couldn't see him trying to take it over. I seen him create a lot of mosques, temples for the Messenger. I seen him start the Muhammad Speaks newspaper in 1960, and he flashed the first article, and I'll never forget this. Who is the written man? And I was proud that I could answer that question when I seen that newspaper in 1960. And Malcolm was the editor and the chief and everything of that newspaper. So everything that Malcolm did, in my estimate, was to advance the Nation of Islam. I didn't see him or hear about him doing anything contrary to advancing the Nation of Islam. But there was some people, I guess, that was in position of leadership in Chicago at the headquarters that really was jealous that Malcolm might have been getting more attention from the Messenger than they were. And like, you know how chumps, cowards are, they whisper behind the person's back because of their idiosyncrasies, that they want that attention that Malcolm is getting, and they started putting that poison in the atmosphere. But in New York, we was with Malcolm. Jersey, as far as I know, was with Malcolm. Philly, Boston, definitely was with Malcolm.
Talk about the fallout with Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad in the nation.
Well, in my estimate, from what I was seeing as a youth, 14, 15, 16, it really wasn't no fallout with Malcolm and the Messenger personally, right? The Messenger really didn't accept, or he didn't show that he accepted anything that they were saying in Chicago about Malcolm until, I believe, the Messenger got fed up with them badgering him about Malcolm, and then when he made the order of no minister saying anything about the assassination of the United States President John F. Kennedy. And Malcolm, he did say something about it though, and he said something very intelligent. It was on a line along the party lines of the messenger, but at the end of the interview, he made the statement that he was an old farm boy, and that when the chickens came home to roost, it never made him sad. It only made him glad. And that statement was taken that he was glad that the chickens came home to roost, in the sense that you reap what you sow. America was the #1 political assassinator at that time. You know, the most recent assassination was Patrice Lumumba in the Congo, and that was a heartfelt brother of Malcolm. Malcolm knew Patrice, you know, so, yo, you did it to my brother, why I can't come to your brother, you know? But in that political atmosphere, it may not have been for him the right thing to do or say. And they took that, and the messenger accepted that as the final call, if you will, on Malcolm to say, well, okay, we got to suspend him. And he suspended him with the view that when they suspend a brother, he can come back. And they suspended him for 90 days, and he was slated to come back. But Malcolm started hearing a whole lot of other bullshit coming out of Chicago, and he must have seen that the messenger wasn't putting no crush on it. And then in the last 30 days of his suspension, the messenger started speaking against Malcolm. That's when I seen the messenger started speaking against Malcolm.
Stop right there. Excellent point. Do you think history has a way of repeating itself with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Malcolm X? Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Minister Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Do you see history repeating itself?
Well, I don't know. I really haven't examined it to that extent. I don't know, and I didn't know. I was in prison most of the time that Dr. Khalil was out here, and I love that brother. He was serious.
You met him before, though, right?
Yeah, I met him on 125th Street. And he came by to school one time.
Yes, many times.
Many times, okay, but I was there one time. I just came out when he gave the Million Youth March.
Oh, okay.
I just came out a week before that. And it was on my birthday that I first made my appearance at the Street Academy, and it was the Million Youth March, and they were celebrating my birthday, my coming home, and the Million Youth March. So it was real significant for me, but he was in association with that. But anyway, I just thought that it was like with Malcolm, that Malcolm was a serious brother, and when the police used to brutalize Muslims, Malcolm and therefore I, in New York, wanted to get busy. And the messenger used to restrain them. You know, we can't do that, brother. And it was like, in my estimate, that Khalil, when things wasn't going right and things was happening to blacks in America, Dr. Khalil used to want to do like Malcolm, step to that business. You know, you hurt my brother, I'm gonna hurt your brother. And Farrakhan wasn't with that. You know, and that might have been a serious rift in the history repeating itself like it had with Malcolm. You know, because I know an instance where Malcolm, when that brother, I forgot his name, but in L.A., got killed I think his name was Stokes. A brother got killed in the mosque, in the temple. The police killed him, shot up the temple and everything. And his name was Stokes. And Malcolm took a force from New York to L.A. to get busy. I don't know if he did it against the messenger's orders or whatever, but they went out there and they was disappointed that they didn't get the support to get busy. They killed the brother, an eye for an eye. Malcolm was about that. You know, he was the first modern day revolutionary like Dr. John Williams of the Deacons for Defense. They picked up arms in Louisiana and North Carolina. And Malcolm was down with that. He loved them. And Malcolm used to go to different hot spots where black people were suffering and getting killed, and step to the business that he could under the constraints as a Muslim under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But he got tired of that. And I guess Khalil got maybe disappointed at Farrakhan with that too, and eventually branched off on his own. When and where and how, I don't know. But I could see the similarities that you got a man that's of action and want to get busy when action is taken against us. We want to reciprocate those very actions, and he was restrained as Malcolm was. So that might have been a point of not only difference but a rift of separation as well.
All right. Some people call Malcolm X a rat, a snitch, or a traitor. Are they justified?
No, they couldn't be justified in putting Malcolm X in that category. All them first terms that you use, no association whatsoever. The last term, there's an argument of traitor, and it's to this extent that Malcolm went to the press with Elijah's son about his infidelities, and Wallace D. Muhammad, about the infidelities with the secretaries, meaning that he fathered some of the babies of the secretary. But as I remember it, when it first came out, I think in 61 or 62, that Malcolm gave a lesson in the mosque on the right and privilege of the messenger being allowed to have more than one wife. That in the Quran it say that a man can have 4 or more. And he used the example of Solomon having 1,000 concubines. In the Bible, he made reference to the Bible. He spoke about the infidelities of Lot, having knowledge of his daughters, or either seen his daughters naked. These are biblical reference that Malcolm used when I was a kid in regards to the justification of the messenger. So we already had that knowledge that the messenger had more than one woman and he fathered more than one baby from these secretaries.
So that's why I say it was way deeper than what a lot of people may think. Oh, it's because he fathered these children or these teenage secretaries, that people tried to make excuses for Malcolm to say that. But I always said Malcolm Ben knew about that. Right. It was bigger than what we could even imagine. We just don't know. It was bigger than that. That fallout was way bigger than that. But I think Malcolm used that to drive home a point of breaking out. Talk about that.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly, and me and my crew always said that Malcolm got tired of the dissension and division that was taking place, and he decided to fight back. But the weapon that he chose of going to the press was considered traitorous for the simple reason that Malcolm used to teach us that we don't wash out our dirty laundry in the white man's press. Right. So when we seen Malcolm do that, Malcolm, what is you doing? Didn't you teach us, didn't you tell us that we don't go to the white man against our brothers? That was like the handkerchief head slave when Gabriel Poser and Denmark Vesey was getting ready to liberate the black slaves in Virginia and South Carolina, a nigga going to the master and telling that, master, they getting ready to riot or getting ready to rebel. And we looked at it like that and wondered, scratching our head, why did Malcolm do that? Did he have that much pressure on him that he went against the teachings that he taught us? And I was a youth, and he went against the teachings in that regard that he taught us. And we did think that it was traitorous, but we was wise to come to the realization that they had treated Malcolm less than the faithful son that he was to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that an exception should have been made and not take his life.
Yeah, you notice I'm trying to move so I can get these questions out because I know you got to roll too. So, what can you tell us about the assassination of Malcolm X? Some people say Elijah Muhammad put the hit on. Others people say it was just the Nation of Islam who killed him. What's your thoughts?
Well, I would like to say what Malcolm said in his final days, that he used to think that it was the Nation of Islam that wanted him dead, and rightly so, because a lot of them thought that he was a traitor and that he betrayed his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and things of that nature, and that he should be killed, as Farrakhan used to get on the podium and say that, right? But Malcolm, in his later days, after he traveled throughout the world and was denied entry in certain countries, he said that the Nation of Islam didn't have that type of power to persuade other governments in other countries not to permit him to speak. And he said that would be on the level of a government that was against him. And then in the final days, he said that he began to notice that things was happening, his surveillance, that it wasn't of the capability of the Nation of Islam. So he seemed as though he was saying that, as you said, it was bigger than the Nation of Islam. Although the Nation of Islam could have been used as tools, as the perpetrators eventually was members of the Nation of Islam. But it being bigger than them, they were simply tools from the provocation of the views that they had against Malcolm, and as the CIA, the government, always used disgruntled individuals as their tools and servants. So in the final analysis of what I viewed the assassination of Malcolm X, the government was explicitly involved with his assassination using tools of the Nation of Islam. A CIA operation.
All right. Brother Allah B, I want to first say, man, this is truly a blessing, brother, to have your wisdom up in the building, to bless this mic, man. I want the people to appreciate this, because you are, like, you know, one of the last few giants that we have amongst us dealing with the history of Harlem. As soon as I told my brother Rabon, that's the first thing he said was, oh man, sa.neter, that brother there, all you got to do is ask him a question to just step back and let him go in. So let me ask you, do you really think that Elijah Muhammad has spies watching Malcolm?
That's a hell of a fire question, because everybody knew that the messenger had a force that reported back to him clandestinely. Okay, so you say spies. He had reporters that in the mosque, it was a thing.
That's a good word to clean it up.
Yeah, okay, a euphemism. A euphemism. All right, because we didn't use the word spy. We knew that if you did something in the temple, somebody is going to tell Captain Joseph. And Captain Joseph was going to get that word back to the messenger, because he was assigned to watch over Malcolm. We knew that Captain Joseph came from Detroit. He was a drunk that the messenger cleaned up, and when he got serious, he was one of the best captains, the supreme captain of the Nation of Islam, and the messenger sent him to not only help Malcolm in the temple, but to also watch Malcolm in the temple. And if you use the word spy, the head spy was Captain Joseph, and he had the FOI reporting Malcolm's every move. Okay, so we didn't term it spies, but if you will, it was tantamounting to spying on Malcolm. And the word always got back. Everything Malcolm did, the word got back to the messenger.
Damn.